everyone, welcome welcome to tonight's live stream. I am going to be talking about bird flu, which is the highly pathogenic avian influenza, H5N1. This is not low pathogenic avian influenza, which is a thing, but it is not that contagious, which is why it's called low pathogenic. And the current outbreak is with highly pathogenic avian influenza. So this is the first thing I want to do is define exactly what we're talking about. And we are talking about HPAI because that's what the problem is right now. I also want to tell you that this is a completely different disease than the seasonal flu that people get. I have seen people online confusing all of these things, and they're not the same. Somebody said they're just trying to make bird flu sound bad because they want everybody to get the vaccine. There is no vaccine for bird flu because there have only been about I think less than 100 people have been infected. It might be right around 100 now, but they don't make a vaccine for something that only 100 people have been infected with. So and the flu vaccine that you can get is not going to protect you from bird flu. Nobody says it will. This is just one of the strange things that has gotten pushed around on social media. There's so much confusion about this. That's why I wanted to do this live stream. So very specifically, the problem that we are having right now is colloquially called bird flu, but it is highly pathogenic avian influenza. It is not the low path version. It is not the same thing as seasonal flu that people get. Another myth that I have seen is some people have said that wild birds don't die from this, which is completely false. In fact, people in Indiana are very upset that a lot of sandhill cranes have died. Somebody from Wisconsin told me that they've been finding a lot of dead vultures that test positive for it up there. So there are lots of different birds that get it. And I'm going to show you all the facts in a minute because if you follow me for any length of time at all, you know I like facts and figures and statistics and stuff. So the first thing that I want to show you is this information from the Center for Disease Control. So anyone who says that bird flu is not a thing or that Biden killed chickens and that that's over now, they are not aware of the actual facts. So this is the Center for Disease Control website. It's updated very frequently, almost daily. You can see here at the top, it was last updated March 4th, which was yesterday. And it explains that we are talking about highly pathogenic avian influenza, also called HPAI. And so far, since January of 22, there have been 166 million birds affected. It's been in all 51 states, in 659 counties, and 1,622 reported outbreaks. If you're wondering if your county has been affected, there's a map here that shows you the counties that have been affected. And then here's the data. So this is the part that is really updated very frequently. So one of the things I want to explain is what is WOAH, non-poultry. And that is, it refers to birds that are not classified as poultry according to the World Organization for Animal Health. So that's what WOAH, or World Organization for Animal Health. And so when they say non-poultry on that list, these are birds that are not defined as poultry. So poultry is domesticated birds primarily raised for meat, eggs, or feathers, such as chickens, turkeys, ducks, and geese. The definition of non-poultry is pretty much everything else. So that would be wild birds, ducks, geese, pheasants, even captive wild birds. So if you have any of those animals in a zoo or wildlife sanctuary, that would fall into this category. Pet birds fall into this category. Birds raised for ornamental purposes like peacocks, as well as birds kept in small backyard flocks for personal consumption if the birds are not sold or traded commercially. And so that's really important to know, because another myth is that backyard poultry can't get this, or that free range poultry can't get this, and that's not true. Like you see right here, Hot Springs, Wyoming, on February 28th, there was non-poultry. There were a flock of 10 non-poultry that had that were depopulated. So these are the numbers of birds that are being depopulated. And the reason that they are depopulated is because the mortality is so close to 100%, and because it is so highly pathogenic that all the birds are going to get it. So, and you see like right here in New York on February 28th, there was a flock of 3. So, that very well could have been someone's backyard chickens. It could have been, or it could have been like, 3 wild birds that were found dead next to a pond or something. And then I also want to, because some people have said, oh, well, isn't it funny that none of the meat birds are affected? Well, that's not true. And commercial turkey meat is probably, the price on turkey meat is going to go up. On the 25th of February, there was a flock of 18,600 birds that was depopulated. And then on February 25th, there was another flock of 16,500. This is probably the same company, although they could be neighbors. But anyway, so this is a lot of birds right here, a lot of turkeys right here. If you like duck, ducks are definitely being affected by this. And there was a flock in Indiana of 3,800 ducks that was depopulated on February 25th. And then you see some of these egg-laying farms, like right here in Ohio on February 21st. This is 3,090,400. That's a huge commercial egg farm. And 3 million birds were affected. So the thing about this is that you can't just replace 3 million layers overnight. So the price of eggs is not going to come down anytime soon. And it's because so many of the egg laying hens have gotten this disease and have either died or they've been euthanized. I was at a conference, 2 conferences in the fall, where there was a veterinarian talking about this. And she said that they're really not being mean when they put them down, because the birds basically suffocate. Like she said, it's a really horrible death when they have this. So you can go through here on your own. It is, if you just search for CDC bird flu situation summary, you should be able to get this. And you can see for yourself, take your time looking over this list and start adding up the numbers to see how many birds have been affected. And this is why eggs are expensive. On the 18th, 164,900 commercial egg layers were affected. So this is where this adds up to 166 million since January of 22. And the numbers are actually, it's really getting worse. Like if you look at this is 100 entries here. So there have been 100 flocks affected since February 4th. That's 1 month. So there have been 100 flocks affected in 1 month. There's 1,600 entries total. This goes all the way up to 17 pages. So you can read all about this and see. And here is a commercial broiler production. Commercial broiler production are your meat birds for chickens. So they're not being affected as much as the egg layers. And my guess is because they don't live very long. They're only around for about 6 weeks before they're processed. Some, depending on the specific strain, maybe 8 weeks, but they're not alive very long. Whereas your egg layers are alive for about a year, and turkeys are usually it takes around 4 or 5 months for turkeys to reach processing weight. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the human cases with this. This is not the first time. This has been around since 97. And so you can see here, the United States is this bright red, is this red color here. So in 2024, we had 66 cases with humans. They were almost all dairy workers and they got it from cows, or they worked in a chicken farm or poultry farm and they got it from the birds. So we haven't seen any human to human transmission, which is good. So it's really just people who work with these birds and the birds were infected, or in the case of some of the dairies, they work at the dairy and that's where they got infected. So according to this graph, the United States had 66 cases last year, and we're up to 4 cases this year as of February 24th. So it's not too terribly bad yet, but it's a virus and they really don't follow the rules. So you really have no idea whether it's going to get worse or not. Some viruses get stronger, some fizzle out. And you can see here, like what's happened to it. You know, it popped up in 1997 in China with 18 people getting sick. And then there was nothing again until 2003 with 3 people in China and 3 in Vietnam. And then it kind of disappeared. Like there was 0 cases reported in 2018. And then it just started to show up again here in 2022. And there was 1 human case in 2022, 0 in 23. And then last year, you can see, was when we had 66. The other thing, I think is this the one? Oh, no. And so this is about mammals, because this is the other thing too. For those people who say, oh, this is bogus because it's just the egg laying chickens that they claim are sick. And that's not true, because it's actually been reported in more than 48 species of mammals, like just about, well, I shouldn't say everything. But when you look at the list of the mammals that have been infected, it's like, really, really, really? And they broke this down. All the graphs and photos and stuff here are broken down between the 2 different time periods. The first wave of infection from 2003 to 2019, and then the second wave of infection from 2020 to 2023. So this was up until 2019. And then these are the countries that it's been in since 2020. And then you can see here in the first wave, these were the mammals that were infected. And now in the current wave, these are the mammals that are infected. And it's massive. So, you know, bears and beavers and squirrels and all sorts of things. So it is real. This is a really great article too. It's from the National Library of Medicine. The name of this article, this was in the Emerging Infectious Diseases Journal in March of last year. So all the information in this is going to be a year old. And the name of this article is Recent Changes in Patterns of Mammal Infection with Highly Pathogenic Avian Influenza A H5N1 Virus Worldwide, if you want to look that up. So I hope that you have found this helpful and have a better understanding of exactly what is happening out there and why egg prices are so high. And come Thanksgiving, turkey prices are going to be really high too. And we may even start to see higher prices for turkey burgers and stuff before that, because it takes time to grow these animals. They're not widgets. You can't just crank up production at the factory. Like that flock of 3 million laying hens that got depopulated. That's 3 million eggs, actually more, because you never get 100% hatch rate. They're going to need over 3 million eggs to hatch to replace those hens. And then they're going to have to grow them for 4 months. And with those 3 million eggs, it's 3 million less eggs that are going to be in the grocery store, because that's where baby chicks come from. And so this is just not, the prices are not going to go down anytime soon, because the supply cannot go up that fast. And so it's just basic economics. It's all about supply and demand. Demand has remained the same, but the supply is drastically decreased because there's just not enough laying hens to continue to produce the number of eggs that people eat in this country. So I hope this has been helpful. If you have questions, feel free to post in the comment section below, and we'll get back to you. Otherwise, a couple days ago, I did post a video about backyard chickens, in case you're thinking of getting chickens for laying eggs. And so you might find that helpful too, if you look on here and see if you can find the video from a couple days ago if you're thinking about getting backyard chickens. Bye for now.